this episode, we're going to focus on coaching as a practical leadership tool, not as a vague motivational idea. Coaching is the skill of helping people improve how they think and work so the team produces better results consistently. And in security strategy, results are not only technical outcomes, they are decisions, follow-through, and reduced risk to critical business objectives. Beginners sometimes assume coaching is only for managers, but coaching is really about how you guide performance and accountability, whether you have a formal title or not. If a team is unclear on expectations, overloaded, or working in conflicting directions, performance drops and frustration rises, even if everyone is talented. Structured coaching raises performance quickly because it creates clarity about what good looks like, what the team is accountable for, and how progress will be measured. It also prevents the common trap where teams rely on heroics and last-minute scrambling instead of repeatable, steady execution. The goal here is to help you understand what coaching looks like in strategic security work and how it connects to business outcomes, so you can recognize the best leadership choices in exam scenarios. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at DailyCyber.News in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A useful first step is understanding why structure matters so much in coaching, especially in security work where ambiguity can create real harm. Structure gives people a predictable way to understand priorities, define ownership, and make decisions without constant negotiation. Without structure, coaching becomes subjective, meaning feedback feels like personal opinion, and people either ignore it or take it personally. With structure, coaching becomes objective, meaning feedback is tied to goals, evidence, and agreed expectations. In strategic security, the goals are tied to protecting business objectives, and the evidence comes from risk ranking, incident patterns, process performance, and stakeholder feedback. Structured coaching starts by making these connections explicit, so the team understands why a change is needed and what outcome it is meant to produce. This reduces resistance because people are more willing to improve when they see the purpose behind the improvement. Structure also helps speed, because instead of long debates about who should do what, the team follows a known approach to assign tasks, track commitments, and review progress. Fast performance improvement is usually less about pushing harder and more about removing confusion. Coaching to raise performance begins with defining the team's mission in a way that links to business outcomes, because teams work best when they understand what success means. In a strategic context, a security team's mission might include enabling the business safely, protecting critical processes, and providing clear decision support through risk-based prioritization. If the team thinks its mission is simply to say no or to enforce rules, it will create friction and lose influence. If the team understands its mission as helping the organization make smarter decisions under risk, it becomes more collaborative and more effective. A coach reinforces this mission repeatedly, not with slogans, but with concrete examples of how the team's work supports objectives like reliability, trust, and compliance. This mission framing becomes a filter for daily decisions, because when choices arise, the team can ask which option supports the mission and which option creates misalignment. For beginners, the key insight is that performance is not only speed of work, it is quality of decisions and alignment to objectives. Coaching connects daily behavior to strategic outcomes, which is how performance gains become durable. Once mission is clear, structured coaching moves into setting expectations, because accountability cannot exist without clear expectations. Expectations include what the team is responsible for, what quality looks like, what timelines are realistic, and how decisions are escalated when trade-offs appear. A common performance issue in security is unclear boundaries, where teams do work that is not theirs while neglecting work that is critical, simply because they are reacting to loud requests. Coaching helps the team define boundaries so it can protect focus and deliver on high-priority outcomes. This often includes establishing guardrails for how requests are handled, such as how to assess urgency, how to route decisions, and what information must be provided for a decision to be made. When expectations are clear, team members can make decisions with confidence rather than seeking constant approval. This speeds up execution and reduces stress, which improves performance indirectly by reducing mistakes. On the exam, good coaching is often represented by answers that clarify roles, decision rights, and quality criteria rather than answers that focus only on pushing people harder. A structured coaching approach also includes prioritization discipline, because performance can collapse when everything feels urgent. Coaching in this area means teaching the team to use business-first triage and risk ranking to decide what to do first and what can wait. This is not just a planning exercise, it is a behavior change. Teams often revert to reacting to immediate noise because it feels productive, but noise-driven work can steal resources from risk-reducing work that matters more. A coach helps the team practice saying, based on evidence, this is the top priority because it threatens a critical objective, and this is a lower priority because its impact is limited or its likelihood drivers are weak. This type of clarity protects the team from churn and makes performance predictable, which stakeholders value. It also makes accountability possible, because when priorities are clear, you can measure whether the team focused on what it agreed to focus on. Without prioritization discipline, performance is hard to judge because any outcome can be explained away by competing demands. Structured coaching turns prioritization into a shared habit that improves both productivity and credibility. Another key coaching area is improving how the team communicates, because many performance issues are really communication issues. Security work often involves translating technical risk into business impact, explaining trade-offs, and building stakeholder commitments. And if communication is unclear, decisions slow and rework increases. A coach helps team members communicate with the right level of detail for the audience, focusing on outcomes and options rather than jargon. This includes teaching people to frame risks in terms of what is at stake for the business, what decisions need to be made, and what the proposed path is. It also includes teaching the team to capture stakeholder expectations early and convert them into commitments, so work does not drift. Communication coaching also involves listening, because misunderstandings often come from assumptions. A coach team learns to ask clarifying questions about objectives, constraints, and risk appetite before proposing solutions. When communication improves, performance improves because fewer cycles are wasted on misalignment, and accountability improves because commitments are clear and observable. Coaching for fast performance gains also requires focusing on repeatable processes rather than one-off heroics. In security, heroics often look like someone saving the day during an incident, but a strategic coach asks why the incident required heroics in the first place and what structure would prevent the same pain next time. Repeatable processes include clear intake for requests, consistent risk assessment, documented decision paths, and predictable escalation criteria. When these processes exist, the team spends less energy reinventing the wheel and more energy solving high-leverage problems. Coaching here is often about making implicit knowledge explicit, meaning turning what one experienced person knows into a shared approach the whole team can use. This reduces bottlenecks and increases team resilience, because performance does not depend on one person being present. Accountability also improves because work is visible and traceable within the process. In exam scenarios, strong leadership often involves building or reinforcing processes that scale rather than relying on individual talent alone. Feedback is another core element of structured coaching, and feedback is most effective when it is specific, timely, and tied to outcomes. Generic praise or generic criticism does not change behavior because it does not tell someone what to repeat or what to adjust. In strategic security work, feedback might focus on how well someone connected a risk to business objectives, how clearly they communicated options to stakeholders, or how consistently they followed the prioritization framework. Feedback can also address execution habits, like whether someone tracked commitments, followed through on deadlines, or escalated appropriately when constraints appeared. A coach also makes feedback two-way, meaning the team can share what obstacles are preventing good performance, such as unclear decision ownership, lack of resources, or conflicting stakeholder demands. This is important because performance is influenced by the system, not only by individuals. When you treat coaching as system improvement, people feel supported rather than attacked, and that accelerates improvement. Accountability becomes healthier because it is about improving outcomes, not assigning blame. To raise accountability quickly, Coaching must clarify ownership in a way that is fair and realistic. Ownership means someone is responsible for making progress, but it also means they have the authority and support to do so. A common beginner mistake is assigning ownership without giving decision rights, which creates frustration and failure. A coach ensures that responsibilities match authority, and that escalation paths exist when authority is needed. Accountability also requires clear definitions of done, because if done is fuzzy, work can be declared complete without producing the intended outcome. In a security context, done might include not only completing a task, but verifying that it reduced exposure or improved reliability. Coaching makes these definitions explicit so the team is judged on outcomes rather than on activity. It also creates a culture where commitments are taken seriously because they are visible and tracked. When accountability is structured, it feels like alignment, not punishment, because everyone knows what they are responsible for and how success is measured. A strategic coach also focuses on capability building, because fast performance improvement often comes from strengthening a few key skills that produce outsized results. In this course, those skills include business-first triage, risk ranking with evidence, stakeholder mapping, and translating risk into business impact. Coaching involves practicing these skills in real decisions, not as theory. For example, a coach might ask a team member to explain how a proposed control supports a specific business objective, or to justify why a risk should be ranked higher than another using impact and likelihood drivers. This practice builds confidence and reduces hesitation, which improves speed. It also reduces inconsistency, because the team learns a shared method for reasoning. When skill building is part of coaching, performance improvement is not temporary. It becomes a durable upgrade in how the team thinks. In exam terms, answers that emphasize developing consistent reasoning habits often represent strong leadership because they improve performance beyond a single project. Coaching also includes managing energy and focus, because teams do not perform well when they are constantly interrupted or emotionally drained. Security teams can be pulled into urgent issues frequently, and without structure, they can become reactive and exhausted. A coach protects focus by clarifying priorities, batching work, and setting expectations with stakeholders about response times and escalation criteria. This is not about ignoring urgent problems. It is about preventing everything from being treated as urgent. When focus is protected, quality improves because people can think and reason rather than rushing. Quality matters in strategic security because poor decisions can create long-term risk even if they feel fast in the moment. Coaching for energy also means encouraging realistic pacing, where the team can sustain performance over time rather than sprinting until burnout. Sustainable performance is a strategic objective in itself because the organization relies on the team's stability. A coached team becomes more reliable, which increases trust and influence, which further accelerates decision-making. As we bring these ideas together, it helps to see structured coaching as a loop rather than a one-time event. You clarify mission and objectives. You set expectations and guardrails. You prioritize based on evidence. You execute through repeatable processes, and you review outcomes to provide specific feedback. Then you adjust expectations, improve processes, and build skills, and the cycle repeats. This loop creates continuous improvement, which is how performance rises fast and stays high. It also creates a culture where accountability is normal and shared rather than feared, because accountability is simply the practice of keeping commitments and learning from results. In security strategy, this loop is especially powerful because the threat landscape and business priorities can change, so the team must be able to adapt without chaos. A structured coaching approach gives the team a stable way to adapt because it provides a consistent method for deciding and acting. That method is what keeps performance strong during change. To close, coaching teams with structure is one of the most effective ways to raise performance and accountability quickly because it replaces ambiguity with clarity and replaces heroics with repeatable success. You begin by linking the team's work to business objectives so people understand why their effort matters. You define clear expectations, boundaries, and decision paths so work is focused and execution is predictable. You build prioritization discipline using evidence-based risk ranking, and you improve communication so stakeholders understand impact and choices. You strengthen repeatable processes Give specific feedback tied to outcomes, and align ownership with authority so accountability is fair and real. You invest in capability building so the team's reasoning becomes consistent and confident, and you protect energy and focus so performance is sustainable. When you can recognize and apply these coaching principles, you are thinking like a strategic leader, and you are demonstrating the kind of disciplined, business-aligned leadership that the GST-RT exam is designed to test.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.